Hey guys, I'm Andrew. I'm the father of two 14-month-old twin girls. Big into fishing, big into the outdoors, and my wife and I have always planned, one or two trips a year where we're going far in Canada's north interior, exploring, always loved the outdoors. Fishing, camping, never so much got into hunting. Maybe one day we will. Let's just say in the last 14 months, vacations and getaways have taken on a bit of a different meaning. When I think what vacations used to be like for us, I think of this.
That's a beautiful fish.
Now, with twin girls, or any toddlers, or any young kids of any age, if you have kids, you know what I'm saying, vacations have taken on a little different of a meaning.
Where are we?
So my goal is, how can we get out of the city, get our children exposed to the outdoors, rolling around in dirt, getting used to bugs, experiencing life around water, just everything it means to be outdoors at an early age, while still taking some time to disconnect and recharge my own batteries. So what I wanted to do is kind of put a video together of what our vacation was like and how, if you're a dad of young kids, you can be strategic and put a little bit of planning into your family vacations to make the most of them. One of my other goals, aside from getting my kids more familiar with the outdoors, was I've grown up in Ontario, born and raised here, and I've never caught a muskie. For those of you who don't know, muskie are the top of the freshwater food chain, especially here in Canada. They grow 30 plus pounds. They're often referred to as the fish of 10,000 casts, meaning they're elusive or hard to catch. A lot of times a muskie will be known for following your bait right into the boat, but not striking. If you've fished for muskie before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's probably one of the most skillful and the most specific type of fish you can target, which would require a lot of hours on the water. Something I didn't really have at this trip. We had a Tim boat, we had a 9.9 horsepower motor. I could really only go out fishing a couple hours before they got up in the morning and really when they went down for naps. It wasn't easy, kind of dangerous at times. Don't ask, you'll just have to watch.
So the place we rented was on the Kawarthas, and we used Virgo to find the place, which was a pretty good website, and you have to book early because a lot of these places they book really, really early, especially the ones on water. What I liked about this one is it came with a small boat and something that could get me out into deeper water. Caught a couple bass off the dock, which was fun, but ultimately, if you're going to target muskie or bigger fish, you're going to need to be able to get out to them. So the first day was really more exploratory. I did have a portable fish finder that I brought with me. I always bring that when I'm in a situation like this. It'll save you hours of time to be able to figure out where some of the drop-offs are, where some of the weed beds are, what the temperature of the water is, and so on and so forth. So highly recommend one of the portable fish finders or depth finders. I'll put the link to the one I have in the description to my video. What's nice about going out fishing while my girls are asleep is dusk and dawn are some of the best times to go fishing, and they go to bed early, so they go to bed around 7:30, which gives me an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get out and do some fishing. One of the other things I was looking for was not only structure with the fish finder, but where were some of the other boats. So if you see in the background, I don't know if you noticed, there was 2 or 3 or 4 boats in the background. I made a note of that and made sure to go check out those spots the following day and get a better idea of what they were targeting and what the what the appeal was to have so many boats. There's 3 right there. So on this day, I'm actually, speak of the devil, I'm actually set up where I saw those boats and realized they were in a pretty good spot for walleye. And although I'm targeting musky, you know, musky are feeding on a lot of the walleye that are in the lake. So, you know, don't be surprised if you are targeting musky that you pick up the odd pickerel or walleye or bass on musky gear. I was downsizing. You know, some musky lures can be pretty big. I was using the smaller end just to not totally limit myself from other catches like this walleye here. Okay, so this was pretty wild. I was anchored, I was near a channel where boats were going back and forth, and this really speaks to the importance of boater safety. I'm standing on the seat, I get hit with a very, very, you know, light wake from a boat behind me, and it's really not that, you know, impressive of a wave. It's, you know, really... This came down to me being off balance and not fully prepared to handle what was about to happen. So again, it doesn't take long to lose your footing, and before I knew it, I was in the water, ass backwards, rod and reel over. I was able to pull myself up, but not before a bunch of water gushed in. You can make comments all you want about the lack of tan on my feet. I know, you know, my wife had always made fun of me because I always had socks or shoes on, to the point where, you know, my feet were so white for never having seen the sun. So part of my mission, you know, this week was to get some color on them. So yeah, feel free to comment, make fun all you want about that. But yeah, you know what, it just comes down to always having a life jacket in the boat, and on for that matter, and being aware of your surroundings and having balance. So I was getting closer. I had seen a muskie follow, and in this shot here, and I was using a red bucktail spinner, and I actually hook into a pretty nice fish. It was exhilarating, to say the least. I'm casting it out just in about 10 feet of water, and you know, there's pretty sparse weeds, and out of nowhere I get a pretty big take, and it's not a snag. I can feel it fighting, and it's taking me down into the weeds. And I learned a couple of things here. This was a big fish. I saw just the you know, the darting of it. Didn't fully get an idea of how big it was, but what I learned here, you'll see in a second, it just got off. Took me down into the weeds, which had enough slack to shake its head free. I was really annoyed, to be honest, and what I learned here was the importance of having sharp hooks. And not only that, but I was using monoline, something after I learned more about. Using monoline for musky fishing isn't ideal. You want to be using braid so you get a good firm hook set. You want your hooks to be sticky sharp, and you want your drag turned up basically full throttle. You know, even if your drag's fully tight, they're still going to be able to take line. So those were kind of my takeaways that I really relived, you know, that whole night, and I was pretty frustrated. But I did make up for it here. So again, I downsized, and I was using a black and orange spinnerbait with a trailer hook. And right there, I knew it was a muskie by the coloring. My first one had never hooked into, well, I had hooked one you saw previously, but never landed a muskie before, so it was pretty exhilarating. It wasn't a huge fish by any means, which is also nice to see that the muskie fishery in the Kawarthas and on the Trent Severn waterway is still healthy, and there's a lot of varying sizes of fish. But again, at this point, my thought was, what was I thinking and how am I going to land this? Even though it's a smaller fish, again, new to me, and I know how careful you need to be with these fish. It's really important to me that the fish stays in the water. I could have lost the fish here and I still would have been happy just to be able to see one up that close. So again, it was super important to me to keep the fish in the water as long as possible. I mean, once she's in the net, taking out the hooks was a lot easier. I ended up having to use a jaw spreader. So having a jaw spreader, a pair of pliers, wire cutters in case the hooks are too deep, and I also have one of those fish grippers, all within arm's reach, is essential for proper fish handling. So a quick look, and away she goes. Just a phenomenal milestone for me, and to be able to coordinate catching a muskie while being away with my family, it was absolutely incredible.